Okay. All right, we are recording. It is September 29th, and this is Team 9. So we will go through our roles, and then we will get on with the agenda. I'm Andrew Schuler. I'm the facilitator filling in for Brad, and I'm the host as well.
Chrissy, and I am the jokester.
David, and I'm just here to have fun.
I'm going to be the challenger for the day.
Great. I don't think we need a submitter, so we should be fine there. Chrissy, you want to start us off with the joke?
All right. Well, I was a little bit taken back when I went to the grocer and that all of the Halloween candy is out.
Really?
Which then reminded me that it's actually almost October. So how did the skeleton know it was going to rain on Halloween? He could feel it in his bones.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right. So, all right. Thank you for the joke. We'll move on to the team building activity. Looks like this team building activity kind of talks about some experiences that you've had with a controlling manager and someone who's influenced your motivation in the workforce. So I'll kick it off here. I had made a couple notes here. I had, I'm pretty sure I told you guys, I used to work at UPS, and the way that they do everything is by micromanaging everything. So, and the boss I had there was very controlling. It was nice to be a supervisor there, but at the same time, I felt like no one trusted me to succeed on my own and figure stuff out. Someone's always looking over your work, looking over your back, which is nice if you're new, but after you've been there for a few years, you still can't do anything off the book, sort of say. So I think that, a leader needs to be in control to a certain manner, and I think that if you're going to have your team start growing, it's very important to have participation across the board from not only the leader and all of the team members, but I feel like with a controlling manager, you really don't get too much participation, too much people stepping up because they're just waiting for the leader to tell them what to do. So when I read that, I kind of thought about that, and I just think that you get more out of a team if you have people actually generating different ideas and participating, getting everyone involved, really. So that's kind of what I took from that one.
Okay.
I'll go over Brad's if you guys want. I'll have
Sure.
it pulled up when I've read it. So Brad is the man of many talents, apparently. I don't know if you guys read that, but he was at one point a sous chef and dessert chef as well. I mean, this guy's done it all. Yeah. So his story was basically when he was a dessert chef at a nice restaurant, he had the executive chef there basically controlling every step he made. He would instruct him to make desserts and, be creative. And then the executive chef would come over and say, that's horrible. No, that's not good work. Do it like this. So your creativeness is limited to the whatever your boss says is okay. So he said, after 6 months or so, he was pretty much done with that. So similar kind of story you're talking about, Andrew. And he just said that when it comes to, someone always being in charge or always having the final say, that limits the ability to be, have collaboration within the group and hinders progress probably more often than not. You're muted, Andrew.
Sorry about that. I think it hurts creativity as well. And, it starts making people get more along with groupthink, I feel like, unfortunately. I don't know. Chrissy, what do you think?
So I have a position where, let's say it's not my current employer. The high level management, when I read in the other reading of the difference between, leading with power versus influence, that, I'm used to, many, many years, a leader of an organization who is controlling and micromanages. Unfortunately, what it does is he often, he's so used to being right or having everyone do exactly what he says that he kind of can't walk away from that. So because he's been doing it for so long, for so many years, and he has caught so many things that have fallen through the cracks with people's desks, he, forwards all the emails to himself and then follows up on it, to make sure, haven't seen a response. You promised you'd have it done at this day. So unfortunately, his controlling and his micromanaging, it actually kind of helps things not be missed, but it also puts you under a microscope. So it forces you to actively do your job, but it also means that he's kind of created a place where people don't want to make decisions because he's always going to be the final authority of making the decision. So now that we have, more, that we previously had a president, that position has now been, filled with another individual. He is very much trying to, empower the employees to make decisions, come with suggestions, do all of these things versus just saying yes to what the highest individual says. So I've seen like a definite shift in the company. I will say that for some individuals, they need that controlling leadership for them to be successful, for them to stay on task, for them to, complete their task list. And the ones that kind of have a department lead who is pretty much like the friend and tries to be a member of the team, when that person, the friend manager who then tries to enforce some sort of discipline, it completely comes from left field. And what is she doing to me? That it's almost kind of going in that where, do you need someone in charge? Well, in particular instances, if that department had a true leader versus someone who is trying to be friendly with everyone and be nice and be liked, there would be more cohesiveness across the team versus someone who kind of gets a little wish-washy and comes back and forth. And when then someone above her says, you need to do this, that's when she's forced to be a leader. So that department itself could be much more successful if the leader had a touch more of the controlling versus the, trying to be so empathetic at all the time. Like she doesn't really empower her team. They always come to her and ask questions, ask advice. That if you're in that department, you seem to be in like a training period for way too long. So that's one of those things that I've kind of noticed where, even the CEO is like, you need to find a way to figure this out. And those are the people who are actively trying to figure things out versus all I have to do is ask my supervisor a question. Mm-hmm. And I just come with all my questions and she helps me this once and it's almost like I don't have to learn it. So I've definitely seen that. It's just kind of like, what is it? Like too many chefs in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. That I've actually had where there wasn't a leader in certain situations and no one could make a decision. And it was kind of then you wanted one person to make a decision. You wanted to be that person who was like, I don't know, let's talk about it. Let's have 3 more meetings. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I have noticed of kind of something when we haven't had someone in charge, that there wasn't someone who's willing to pull the trigger. Sorry for that was, but really decide on something, make the change happen, move forward with it. So, but in situations we're going to have 10 more meetings to talk about it again. Fantastic.
Well, Chrissy, you kind of hit every point and then challenged yourself and then made another point, which was awesome. Good job. But I think you're right. Go ahead, Andrew. Do you have something to say?
No, I was just going to say I agree. I think I'm probably thinking I'm going to say what you're going to say maybe, but go ahead and I'll carry on in the end.
No, okay. So I'll give my experiences, but yeah, I'll just make a quick comment on yours, Chrissy, is that, I think depending on the environment you work in, it obviously has more of an impact or less of an impact depending on the team and the objective given. But like you said, I think although, it says in the notes about leaders and always having somebody in charge, I would say from my personal experiences, but working in a different field
Mhm.
that somebody always has to be in charge. That's mandatory. Now, how they lead, are they a mentor? Is it decentralized leadership? That's totally different, right? But there always has to be a final say just in case a decision can't be made and it's time sensitive. So that is important, like you said, because if you have a group that doesn't have anybody who's decisive or is designated role as, hey, you are the team lead. And obviously, even our instructor identified that as being important by, hey, you are the facilitator. There's a reason. You need clear designated roles. At the end of the day, if something's taking too long or a decision has to be made, just like we did in our team charter, at the end of the day, that facilitator will make the final call if we can't collaborate together. But so my experiences as a young guy in the military and young guy in law enforcement, prior to being in position of making any decisions, pretty much in the military, that's all I dealt with was, you were told to shut up and be quiet and do what you're told, regardless if you think you had a good idea. Now, when I was young, I probably didn't have any good ideas. I just thought I did. But as you get older, you actually establish experience and are like, oh, this could change. And I did have my first supervisor was absolutely horrible. He was the most micromanager. He also was not a very intelligent guy. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was very aggressive. He yelled a lot. He told you what to do constantly, constantly blamed you when you might have been within policy. He thought you were out, and then you would actually have to show him respectfully. Otherwise, you'd get an ass chewing. So that was horrible. So those experiences led me to be more of I'm a very decisive leader, but at the same time, I like to think of myself more of a coach and mentor. Within my team now and how we operate, we have a completely decentralized form of leadership. There's obviously rank and structure for when we're actually doing work, and decisions need to be made because they're all time sensitive, right? So there's no room for collaboration, obviously on emergency situations. It's just, you have to trust that the leader or whoever's in lead is making the right decisions. And that trust is built obviously through training and time spent together, just like we talked about in this class. But during those training hours, our team environment is completely decentralized. Anybody can come up with an idea. Doesn't matter if you're a brand new guy on the team. Doesn't matter if you've been on 10 years. Everybody's voice is heard equally. And we come to decisions or SOPs as a team. We collaborate on those. It's not my sole decision. It's everybody's decision because everybody needs to be comfortable with that. And I think that type of leadership also helps build that trust because they know you value their positions. So when you're having to make those decisions on the fly, they know that those decisions are being based off a collaborative effort. They just trust your immediate decisions to be decisive. So those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's good. You brought a lot of good insights. I was going to comment on Christy that I never really looked at the controller, like the controlling manager, in like the same light that you did, which makes sense. I mean, I could see how it could have different pros and cons. And Steve, to reiterate what you said, that's, coming from like the military background and the law enforcement background, it's very interesting to hear stuff like that they're trying to move now into, like a group thing, or not like a group thing, but like a thing where everyone's participating and giving their 2 cents. That's kind of cool, instead of just like, hey, do this. And, don't ask me why, just do it. So I think that's pretty cool. What do you think, Dave, about the reading materials and controlling managers?
Yeah, I mean, I had to kind of actually think of my own. But I thought about it right now. Many of you know, like, I pretty much started as a volunteer assistant coach, and now I've become an official assistant. But before that, athletic director, which really hindered my capabilities of becoming an official assistant. So the head coach gave me the opportunity to volunteer, and then kind of saw the potential of me actually being an assistant, taking responsibilities like recruiting, logistical terms, and the AD was kind of like, why do you need a volunteer to help you out, or why do you need somebody to recruit? And obviously the coach was like, well, I need somebody to bring in talent. I need somebody to actually rebuild this team, help me take on all these responsibilities that an assistant needs to do. So for 2-3 years, the AD was just kind of like telling the head coach, this is not happening. So it was kind of a bummer. The head coach was kind of like, hey, I'm trying to help you, but if you feel like there's a better place for you to actually get paid and take more responsibilities, go for it. Eventually the AD left. He was just kind of a guy who was on his own mission, like it was just kind of, I'm here, I'm going to put a happy face and try to just do me and not really care. So if you think about it, he always brought in new staff. Probably staff members only stayed a year or two, left. So you can kind of tell what kind of leader the man was. And now I've actually moved up to the position to be an official assistant. It's my second year, and it's been awesome. I'm glad the head coach actually had all this trust and faith in me. I'm kind of bummed that the AD beforehand never had this trust and faith in me. And yesterday we cross-country meet up in Sacramento, and the men's team and the culture has actually blossomed. Like our incoming freshmen who are redshirting this year, 3 of them were in our top scoring 5. So the future is bright on that side, and I have a lot of work on the women's side, but just the fact that a lot of the potential I had the earlier years were really hindered from somebody who could have given the head coach the opportunity to give me more opportunity. So it was kind of a bummer at the end of the day, but now I'm just happy that everything's going according to plan.
You hung in there. Is your plan to be is that your passion, is to be a head coach someday, or?
Well, right now, you guys know, how kind of my educational, I'll be done this summer, and I'm applying for sports management for my master's degree. So I'd like to be a head coach at a university. If not, I'd like to, enroll in a college or university sports. If not, maybe a pro team. But I'd definitely like to be in the university level just because I love making an impact with young athletes. See?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll make a point to, I think, Chrissy and everybody is, just as kind of the challenger, but everybody kind of did say this as well. You have to, like Chrissy said, you actually have to breed decision makers. I mean, it doesn't matter what team you're in, right? Everybody has to have and provide value to input and be decisive. And they have to have passion, behind that and conviction. So what we try to do is that, we try to leave the door open, but also teach everybody to be decision makers. So if you are left in a room where there is no leader, right, or you have to make a decision and there's nobody to look to, everybody's trained to be a decision maker. Everybody knows they can, to Chrissy's point, pull the trigger. Getting crazy with those terms.
Sorry.
Just joking.
Okay.
But that's it. Just like you said, Chrissy, in the environment you described, if you were left in a room with a group that aren't decision makers, but they were empowered to be, right? They were empowered to take ownership by their boss. Well, the boss isn't here, but job needs to get done. Well, we've been taught how to be a decision maker. We know the importance of making a decision. And that's important, right? Because you never know who's going to be there. The boss might not be there that day. The team lead might not be there that day. And job still needs to get done. So it's very important.
So I want to make sure we capture John's information. So I've got John's notes open. And so he said the leader that he had at a previous company, not to name names, before he left was very controlling. She was 2 levels above him, but still requested that all store managers send detailed reports every week on the 27 goals we had for the store. And if we were not hitting any of the goals, that they had to send an action plan for how they were going to correct the behaviors of the sales associates to hit the goals. This type of leadership demoralized him and made his motivation level go way down and eventually made him look for another job. He's not saying that when he was a leader, he used the democratic or empowering style, but he believes he did. He always wanted his employees to work hard because they wanted to, not because they felt they had to, based solely on his title. And he thinks what is wrong with saying that someone needs to be in charge is that all people will only work hard enough to get by, but they are less likely to grow themselves or go above and beyond for the controlling leader. And when that leader leaves, they will not have developed. So I think that is a strong point that I would say that not everyone really needs a leader with, kind of the iron fist to make them do their job. but some do. So, I've had experience where people did the absolute minimum to get by, and you would very much hear, that's not my job responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my job responsibility. And it was, you were asked to help out with a position and a job. A task was asked of you, and you immediately came back and said, that's not my lane. Where there's times where you need to veer out of your lane a little bit in certain instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sick of people telling me that's not my job. I fired like 2 or 3 people already from people just saying that. It's like, if that's not your job and you're not a team player, then, just get out of here. I don't have time for that. Realistically, like, especially if you're their supervisor and you're telling them just like, hey, like, I know you don't do this, but for today, can I show you this new task and maybe you can help me out with it? Nah, sorry.
To me, that's just, I can't even comprehend that. That's not a world obviously I've ever lived in, but man, for someone to tell me, no, that's not part of my job description, that just makes me laugh,
We also regularly hear, that isn't what I was told in the interview.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work for me. I would think we probably all agree, as people who have been in positions of leadership or been team members of poor and good leaders, over the years, I've always thought, not that I currently am. I mean, I might be. I don't know. Everybody would probably have a different opinion of myself, but that I don't necessarily. I try to motivate people, right, from external things, whether it's good training, good gear, good tasks, whatever it may be. But more than anything, I want to inspire people, like you said. When you inspire someone, that motivates that passion, right? Motivations, or to motivate someone, we usually think of that as like external things, money, time off, a good job, whatever it may be. But when you inspire someone as a leader, and I've had leaders that have inspired me, right? Or you read a book, or you go to some leadership conference where the speaker is just incredible, and then you leave there feeling like, holy shit, I'm gonna go do work. And to me, when you get inspired by a leader, that just ignites passion. And we all know, when we're passionate about something, that just fuels the fire without any external motivation. So I always try to inspire, or I try my best to inspire people, and I think that has the biggest effect, because then, like you said, they'll do it because they want to, not because they're told to. And then you'll never hear, it's not part of my job, right? It's always, man, what can I do to help? Yeah, exactly.
I hope you don't.
Right.
All right, guys, I'm going to get us back on track. Let's go over our team preparedness. Let's see if you guys have read all the materials, looked at all the videos, and if you submitted your assignment before the meeting. I'll start. I did not read chapters 5 and 6. I left my book at my parents' house. I felt like an idiot, but everything else I have accomplished and turned in the notes prior.
Chrissy, I read all the materials, I watched the videos, and I also submitted my notes prior to this. And looking at John read all the materials, watched the video, and submitted his notes prior to this meeting. David?
Yeah, Andrew, you just reminded me. I read everything, watched. I forgot chapter 5 and 6 were there. I was a little confused on what the readings were, but I mean, I pretty much read everything and did a TED talk.
Yeah.
Brad read everything, turned in his notes before the scheduled meeting. I did the same.
All right, good.
Oh, and turned in the notes beforehand as well.
Yeah, turned in the notes beforehand. Sorry.
All right, so David, I guess you and me will just have to read chapters 5 and 6 and get caught up here for the next meeting, but it shouldn't be too hard.
Do you want to, what was I going to say? I'm sorry. I'm trying to find my video. Here we go. Do you want to, Andrew, because we're missing 2 people? I mean, we could change this to the agenda. We could do that. We could say, hey, let's just push it to the next agenda.
So
easy enough.
So the reading itself, all the questions are a compilation that we need to answer. It's a compilation of everything.
Well, what we can go over is on the agenda. I see there's a couple. My darn screens. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
I get what you're saying. They'll have to read it anyway, or they should at least.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me if we skip it for this meeting, but since I would say like 60%, 75% of the team is here. We might as well go over it, I think, at least.
Feel free.
Mhm.
And then, when they watch the movie by themselves, they can add their notes to what they submit to Dr. Chanley, just that they reviewed it and everything. I think that would work best. Otherwise, we might get behind, start putting stuff
let's
off.
just do that. I'm reading the agenda now, and I didn't see anything super specific, so
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Dr. Chanley's feedback from the initial meeting. So does anyone have anything on that? I do not. I was curious if you guys did.
So which meeting was that? I know that, I just want to make sure, because I see, a few things that we've submitted that haven't been graded. Nobody received any feedback on our team interview, right? For module 5.
I think she's only graded through module 3.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So then, because I didn't have comments either for the team's interview plan from 4 either.
Yeah, I didn't see any grades for any discussions 4 or further on. So
okay. And I also didn't see any, and if I missed it, I apologize. I didn't see any additional notes about how we should be changing our meetings or making changes to this one. The last thing I saw was where she said, you no longer have to announce yourself. That's the last kind of.
That's the last note I saw. She did make a note on the announcements as she missed some team interviews. I think that's what she was talking about, joining the team interview, but she joined our team interview. So
Okay.
she was just noting that she still has to do that with some other teams, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Sounds like some other teams are even further behind, which is interesting.
I think we're right on point.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're right on point, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. So, okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's what
sorry. Go ahead, David.
I think she was saying she was a little behind
Yeah.
a lot of team interviews.
And usually when I look for stuff from her, usually she'll send us like announcements or emails directly, with changes and stuff like that, which is nice to see that from a teacher, because sometimes you just like the teacher will put out the syllabus and not really be too engaging to tell you what's going on and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I think so. It's really nice that she keeps a good track on things. If it's going to change, she lets us know early. Okay, I'll mark this one off. Okay.
And it looks like she did add the extra credit assignment onto the grade book.
Right.
Do we have a time on when we need to do that?
I'm sorry?
I got the notes on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go over it here at the end of the meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah. All right. So we'll keep going. So do we need to review the agenda and make any changes? I know you were talking about it, Steve, but
It was just a suggestion, but like you said, it doesn't really matter. They're going to review the video anyways, and it's all, like Chrissy said, a collaborative thing. I mean, for me, there was really only few key points that I noted on and really took away from it. So yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
What kind of key points did you have?
The integrative leadership for me was that, I think it was the article. It was an article, but the video was, do you want me to get into this right now?
Well, are we starting our?
Yeah, are we starting?
Do you want to get into number 8?
Yeah, we could jump right into 8.
Okay.
Steve, you want to kick it off? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The video itself was the video itself. I mean, it was okay, but what I think the integrative and there was the integrative and power. What was the comparison there? I can't remember, but the integrative leadership style to me was the key. That whole, every comment, every piece of advice in that article was important, right? It's that open-mindedness. I mean, creating a culture where people are allowed to think, be creative, empowering people. I thought that was really cool.
From the readings when I read them, I really enjoyed this How Successful Leaders Think. That article. That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yep, with integrative thinking, integrative leadership.
I'll agree with you on the video. It was what it was. It was a video. It was short. Maybe you can get 1 or 2 points from it. Great. But that stuff, I feel like I've known.
There wasn't a super clear point.
Right. And I felt like from the reading, especially from this how successful leaders think, it was just chock full of good info.
Yeah.
I actually printed it out and took my highlighter and
Mhm.
ran it through and got some additional notes on here so I can just save. Because I feel like a lot of the stuff I learned from that, like what was the one that I was looking at? Analyzing casualty, I figured was pretty good. And it was pretty cool how they showed how the two different types of thinkers, conventional thinkers and integrative thinkers, think about different problems as you go through it. That's something that I think could actually help me even in a different class, easily. So what do you think about the reading material, Chrissy?
Well, so I'm curious just because, I don't mean to kind of change directions here. Just because we have John and Brad's information, do we want to go through the actual questions and what we took from the reading in the A, B, and C of section 8? So just because I'd like to incorporate, and if we kind of go off a little bit more of the overview, I just don't want to lose their information.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I'm more than happy to give you my feedback on all the readings and videos, but I can kind of do mine a little bit more if we go over A, B, and C, the kind of prompts that we used in the notes.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we're definitely going to get back on track. I know that we were just pre-talking about it kind of a little bit, but yeah, we can definitely kick it off. So question 8 for A is, what have you learned about the leadership that you think will be helpful in the real world of organizational leadership? So anyone want to kick that one off so we can get back on track?
I'll kick it off with John.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what John had to say about it.
Okay, so John said, when people of high power are on the same team, their power can undermine their ability to work together. So if he has a team that's a group of leaders, keep that in mind. Oh, okay. So he's talking about the article, where it's like how you put the group of leaders together and they're actually not effective. That you've got all these high power individuals. Yeah. That was one of them.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It was kind of the opposite of what I thought it would be.
How funny would it be to be one of their employees in that same conference and watching that happen? Oh, man, they would be embarrassed.
Yes.
That'd be horrible. I'd hate to go home on that car ride.
John also said power does not have to be legitimate or appointed. It can come from many other ways, such as expert power, referent power, and reward power. Some ways of gaining power are effective, whereas some are not. And he said, when making decisions, think of the opposing sides in your head and then make the most effective decision, not the easiest.
Yeah. So, I'll go over Brad. Is that okay? And then we can have the open discussion. Brad's very similar. Brad said through the readings, he's learned that it's a lot more important to influence people than have power over people. And also an important key is to have open communication, lines of communication, and give people the opportunity to be creative, which builds trust, is what he said.
Just by what Brad and Steve said just now, that's what I pretty much put in my note as well. And it kind of ties into what John said too, how I was very...
Bless you.
Sorry.
Heartburn.
I think I'm getting a little sick. But yeah, what they had put is kind of matches what I put as well, that surprisingly, too many good leaders that are trying to do something, for the goal, for the team, lacks creativity and unique ideas. I kind of got that. I guess it makes sense, if you have a bunch of, the people from corporate or the board that are all decision makers and you get them in the same meeting, there might be a lot of, I don't like your idea. Let's go with my idea. My idea is better. A lot of conflict like that, where I feel like it would have a negative part on the team because, conflict's pretty good sometimes, but I feel like that would derail the whole team. When I was looking at it as well, I got also some of my other notes that leaders need to think about the team from the beginning stages all the way to the end stages and be able to problem solve all throughout the different chain. So if we had only leaders and decision makers on one team, some of the people might not like some of the smaller work getting delegated to them. Like, you know, like, oh, that job's, I'm too important for that job, or stuff like that. These are some of the notes that I had written down. I thought it was pretty interesting though from the reading. So it kind of ties in what John and Brad were both talking about.
I'll find what a lot of people are saying, but from the readings, where I was getting at, it was for a lot of leaders not to undermine the team members and being able to think outside the box. So as a leader, I feel like from what I got from a few of these readings and even the video, that leaders tend to just thinking, and it's either my way or the highway. And I've seen this even at the week I do for part time. It's like you challenge your leaders to do it a different way, but they're like, no, it's this way, and it can be frustrating, especially in my terms. There's some leaders that are young. It's like it's cool to go on the basis the company wants you to be, but sometimes you need to think outside the box where you can actually help the consumer or help whatever the goal is in mind. And sometimes it really helps. But I feel like creativity does get lost when leaders undermine people, or it's just one way, or if that makes any sense to what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it does. And I'll go into what I was thinking, but going off what you're saying, David, I think as a leader, you can't know it all, right? And I think that goes back to what Annie was saying when we did our interview with her. And it's, you got to empower people and trust them. If you give them an assigned task, they're going to become that SME on it. And you got to trust what they have to say, because you don't have time to do it all. And that's similar to kind of how my job is now. Is I'm busy, right? I mean, if I give you a task, or you're going to take ownership of something, if you have a problem, don't come to me with just the problem. Come to me with the problem and several solutions. And I'm going to trust that one of your solutions that you've identified is the right one. I'm not an expert on it. I've trusted that you're going to become the expert on it. And like you said, David, you know, good leaders are great facilitators. Really, that's what it is, right? You're good at gathering assets and empowering people to do the best that they can do. But a good leader that thinks they're good at everything, that's impossible. Nobody can be good at that. So you got to empower your people and trust their decisions as well. So I hear you on that. For me, in my notes, I mean, personally, just because of the environment I grew up in and just kind of my personality, I think, you know, which I was aware of this, but through this class, it only emphasizes more the empathy, you know, to people. Obviously, the guys I work with and the people I work with are, you know, generally of more of a decisive and, you know, direct type of personality. So they're okay with it. But in general, I do know that empathy is key for me, and I got to always work on that. That's a huge part for me. And also challenging the conventional thinking and practices to encourage growth and progress, which I think I do. And I've always done that, but I noted it because that's not something that happens organically, and it's not something that happens often, even in my career field. So I just thought that was an important key, because I know that it's hard to do that, though. It's hard to challenge the normal. It's hard to challenge common practice, because then if you challenge it, you're tasked with providing changes and options and opportunities. So then it's hard work. Like the article said, it's way harder to challenge conventional thinking, because then you're going to be tasked with creating new ideas, which is not easy to do. It's very easy to just say, oh, is that the way we're doing it? I don't really like it, but let's do it anyways, because it doesn't offer me any additional work and I can get over with quick. Mm-hmm. So that to me was a big part of it.
So I know that I know that not everyone has read the text, but I actually found chapters 5 and 6 to provide so much great information. It gave, you know, like for me, whether you're a leader, whether you're an employee, it's like communication and effectively communicating, saying exactly what you mean and giving updates and your expectations throughout the process. The building relationships, building trust, being personally accountable for your own actions and responsibilities, and staying results driven. It's very easy to lose motivation. We get tired. Life happens outside of employment. Sometimes it's hard to remain focused and motivated. So those were some of the things. They had the ACT, the air traffic control, like know the action, know your timetable, use checkpoints, for regular updates. I thought that actually is identical to the expectations of what our company does. You have to 360 everyone. When you've been asked to do something, you've got a 360. You've got to come back and give the update. If you give someone an ask, they're like, when do you need this by? And it's like, oh, I should have included that. So there was a lot of tips within those readings that I thought were great. And one of the big things that I kind of took is, there was like the 5 leadership differentiators, but then it was the ability to effectively manage change, excuse me. And it was first envision the change, build support for the change. So if you want change to happen, get some of those almost like key employees or key individuals, get them on your page, get them on your side, make them understand what the change will do for the organization. And it said, if someone's going to be resistant to the change, almost get with them immediately to kind of find out why they would be resistant to the change, kind of hear their side, get them kind of a little bit more on your side, and that'll kind of help implement the change. So I thought that was great because there's many organizational decisions and changes that have been made that if they would have taken the time to get those that are resistant to the change a little bit more on their side and come to them first, it would have been completely received in a more positive manner across the entire organization. But then I actually took so many notes in this section specifically from the chapters. I just felt like it was a great deal of information. And that TED Talk video, we actually did that at a holiday party. So we have like huge holiday
marshmallow challenge.
I'm sorry?
You did the marshmallow challenge?
The marshmallow challenge. So we break up and we normally, there's an open bar. I'll throw that in there that starts early morning. But, so after like 2 or 3 hours, that's kind of when the challenge was put in place. So there may have been shots beforehand. There may have been a little bit of a win because it was outside, but it was crazy how everyone had their different strategy. And I hosted the event, so I didn't participate. But you would see there were so many different strategies and people were taking, and it was only a few amount of spaghetti that you received. You didn't have boxes of it. So, you had this limited amount that you had to work with. And some, like I think that the person who won, maybe it was 18 inches, maybe. But other ones, they were trying to go as high as possible, and then the wind came, knocked over the entire thing. So it was that all that they were focused on is, we have to make it tall and fast. That's it. They weren't thinking of, well, we've got the wind, and how do you make it be supported? And it was really interesting to watch everyone with this challenge of, not from an analytical type of viewpoint. It's that we're also very competitive during this morning portion and through the whole day. So everyone's focusing on winning. So you see the people who were more stressed and wanted to win, they actually lost. Like they came in last because they were so focused on winning versus let's take a step back. Let's think about the problem. That whole kind of going into the conventional thinking versus integrative thinking, that you could kind of see that the people who failed, they actually came with something at the last minute using that integrative thinking. And those are the people who won, because they tried the conventional and then they had to come outside the box a little bit. So it was kind of interesting. You bringing up, Stephen, talking about the integrative thinking and, kind of getting out of this is your option and this is what you're doing, where there may be a third possibility we haven't thought of.
Yeah, I mean, not to challenge it, but I'm going to say that just because that's my role. But, what you said is, they stood back and they thought about it. Whereas in the video, he did know that really the people that did the best statistically were people that just made decisions and went for it, failed, did it again, failed, did it again, which were the kids, right? So they were quick to make a decision, say, hey, here's my task. I'm going to make a decision and do it. And then, oh, I failed. I'm going to make a decision, do it again. I failed. So then you're building in the deficiencies and you're identifying where the weaknesses are very fast versus sitting back trying to identify what would be the best method, which he said those people that tried to do that almost always ended up not having a final product. So slightly different to the experience it sounds like you had, the guys that sat back and it took it as a whole. Well, but everybody is different, right? I mean, but I thought that was interesting.
I don't think I communicated that very well. They tried something, it didn't work. Then they would be like, okay, what didn't work?
Okay, so they were the children as well.
Yeah, we don't have like engineers where they had said in the business.
Right, yeah.
It was the engineers, the people who are forced to look at all the pieces, put it together, how does it work together? That we don't have a department like that.
Right,
so we don't have specific individuals who their primary job is to think about.
Yeah, their brains don't work that way.
Right.
You of ours do.
I wish.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
But thank you for challenging.
You're welcome.
I thought it was very interesting what you said about the readings for 5 and 6. I'm actually pretty intrigued to read that now. If you said that the notes were as good as you really got from them, and then now I'm really looking forward to reading it, you know?
So what I like about this text, and I actually kind of thought that this is a textbook. It's very small, but it's actually a book that,
a good book.
You know, that I am a director now, that I would like to move up more with the company, that the information, it's disseminated in such a way that's so relatable and easy to understand.
Easy reading.
Some of our reading is a touch in this program and in school in general. It's a touch clinical, where it's really hard to put yourself into a situation where you can actually mold it so it relates to what you're working on. So I honestly, I dreaded reading the text, and I thought it's so much reading. It was a lot of pages, but it was fast and page turning. I kind of thought, I actually don't know if I'm going to donate this book when I'm done. I might keep it.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Chrissy. I think every chapter in this book is good. It's an easy read. What I was going to say when you were talking, and I agree, one of the things about this book, everything I got in this book, not that it's not new information to me, but I've taken a previous class, and you were talking about it, it reminded me of this class. Communication is key, right? That's just repeated. Clear expectations, transparency, communication. Comes down to everything. I think it was a 200 level class, but if any of you've taken it, it's like it's like a virtual video game. You play on the computer. Have you taken that class?
Yeah, it was great.
That class. So Andrew, this book is almost identical to that. It's like this book is that video game. What class? That was a great class.
Are you talking about the one, Moral Minefield?
I don't.
We have like the little
characters. You know what I'm talking about? It was where you have to, Go ahead.
They're like little characters talking in a video. Sorry.
So I'll explain it. Anyways, it literally reminds me of just this book in video game form. So obviously the class had other requirements and papers and stuff like that, but a large portion of this class was you had to log online to this like website that was basically a leadership organization video game, and you had to watch videos, and then you had to answer questions according to the video and what was the proper leadership route to take in that scenario. And so it really talks about every chapter in this book, but does it with interactive like people and video game. It was super cool. It was a great class. I think it was a 200 level class. I just can't remember the name of it.
I think it is. I took it like in the summer, and then there's another 300 class I'm taking right now that has the same thing, but it's in a different like it's regarding to that. It's different, but I definitely know what you're talking about. Like
what 300 level class are you taking now that has it?
345.
Okay.
I believe
this is my second time doing that video.
Yeah, that's cool.
OGL 200. No, OGL 220, I think.
Maybe it's 220.
I don't know. But I think I know what you're talking about. The game it was like a virtual game where you jump on online, but it was like you were like the boss, and you would go through and you would have employees that would come to you with issues, and you would have to make the decision, and you would, get X amount of points if you were right, or but that would also tell you like what kind of manager or leader you were. Like, were you empathetic? Were you participative or autocratic? So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I just thought that this book, every chapter literally was hit on in that video, which I thought was fun.
Interesting.
All right, guys, you want to get back on track?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I think that was a good discussion. Let's look at 8B. In a self-directed team such as the one you are on for this class, what of the leadership materials or hints, etc., can you use now? In other words, what leadership skills can be applied in the circumstances where you weren't the designated leader? Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Sure, I'll go. I had a couple points, but I would say, as a team member, one of the most important things I would think is being collaborative and giving valuable input. So not sitting back and just waiting for someone to tell you what to do or give you an assigned task, but as a team member, stepping up and saying, hey, I have input, be valuable, do that. And then when you do have something, obviously being clear with your communication. And the biggest one I put, was being prepared. Being prepared and coming to the meetings or whatever you have prepared with valuable input.
I agree. I mean, if you're not prepared, you don't want to be wasting the team's time. The team time is, I've honestly understood that team time is very precious, especially a team like this one, very virtual team. All of our time is precious because we're all in different time zones. We all have different things going on. To answer the question, when I read it, you need to know how to be a leader, and you need to know how to be a follower as well. This is the notes that I have. You can't be a good follower if you don't understand how to, I guess you could if you didn't know how to lead. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you know how to lead, then you know how to be quiet when it's not your turn to lead. Oh my God. And, if you need to sit back and follow and watch what the leader's doing, or, it's your turn to follow, then I feel like it's important as the leader, you need to understand, like, okay, he's in charge today. Like, these are my tasks I need to get done for him. But then you could go into a different meeting and be the leader and have your team be like, all right, guys, you guys need to get this stuff done for me now, with deadlines and everything like that. And I put a few different notes. Listen more depthly to your team members and give better feedback as a follower. So if you're a follower that you're used to being the leader, I feel like you can give more constructive feedback to the leader and the whole team in general. Be like, hey guys, I observed this. Like, maybe we should try and do this, and, different stuff like that. And then as the follower as well, a weight's lifted off your shoulders where you don't have to worry about certain things that the leader does. Obviously you're a team, but the leader has to worry about a lot more. So he'll probably delegate some tasks to the followers, and so the cohesiveness works. But it's interesting knowing both aspects, like when to follow and when to lead. What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, so in the readings, what I was getting at from this question, or what we had to answer, pretty much a lot of what I got from the video and from successful leaders is for many leaders and just members themselves to keep their egos in check and collaborative, and keeping an open mind that these solutions that person must have, it might be better than yours, but you can still make it collaborative with both be made into one. So that's pretty much what I got from those two. I really like the successful leaders, just kind of showing you put a bunch of leaders in one location and try to figure things out. It could be very, you would be butting heads, kind of like rams going at each other and into a solution. So I felt like that ego check is very key to be collaborative and very open-minded.
I'll go over Brad's real quick if that's okay. Oddly enough, it's just a repeat of everything we've said. Number one for him was going above and beyond and being able to collaborate and communicate. Number two was showing interest and listening intently, just like you said, Andrew. And then being a good source for his team, not only by giving information, but also by helping resolve conflicts.
I'll go over what John said. John said using integrated thinking instead of conventional thinking when they're trying to figure out an issue, so he can think of different ideas than the normal ideas and probably suggestions that happen, because that reduces group thinking, and then not letting his power get in the way of making effective decisions with his team members who also have power. So offering to help team members by being a resource for them, step in to help resolve conflicts, which I think is great to kind of step in and help. So when you're not the leader, it is important to step in and help the leader and the team essentially kind of look at the conflict, bring solutions, help move it forward. What I kind of thought was, Stephen, earlier when you talked so much about empathy, that just that without all that we've learned of what it takes to be a successful leader, that if you're going to be a participant in a group, you should be the team member that you wished you had on your team. So someone who is empathetic to, knows what it takes to lead, knows the difficulties, the challenges that come along with it, active listening, the same kind of skills translate. Also, if expectations were not set, almost in the politest way possible, challenge the leader, but not even challenge the leader, but add feedback and commentary. If things weren't properly communicated, ask for clarification. If you see somebody in the room not understanding it, you can see that bit of that puzzled look on their face. Ask clarifying questions, not necessarily for yourself, but because you see people don't understand and they're not speaking up for themselves. So look at it that you're going to try and help the team be successful, and be results focused. Kind of help move, from as a teammate, help move the goal of the team forward. And I just think that as far as additional things that we can take with us, as we've learned, there's a great deal of information available online that would be, helpful to us now, to the future. Things that we can also use is that take a moment to think like the great leader, not act. Think outside the box. Think of those. One thing that I have that I resonated with is the integrative thinker versus a conventional thinker. I think in my position, and with my own ability to make decisions in my life, I think that you have A and B. And I look at it that one is right, one is wrong. And what if I'm going to make the wrong decision? And so rarely do I think, what if there's a third choice? It's, I kind of just feel kind of trapped in that I have A and B. One is right, one is wrong. I don't know which one is to choose. So thinking about that third option, I thought is definitely something that I can take from this and try to become a little bit more of an integrative thinker. Even if certain parts of my job do not allow, it's words on a page, four corners of a document, legal meaning. So there isn't a lot of integrative, but I can look for opportunities outside of, writing contracts to become a little bit more integrative and try and make it a little bit more of a habit. And so I thought that was something that would be great to move forward. But
I agree with you, Chrissy. I think reading that article about just what you're talking about and how they noted that rarely is A or B the best answer. It might be could be a right answer. It could be a wrong answer. But more often than not, the most successful CEOs or organizations, it's option C, right? It's a collaboration of, I'm going to think outside the box. It's not A or B. It's, hey, okay, these are obvious answers. What's the non-obvious answer? Because we're going to spend time focusing on that. I like that a lot. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice. I did write that down. Does anyone else have anything on B? Okay. All right, let's move to C then. How would your experience in this class be different had I appointed each team an elected or particular student as the team leader for the whole class? I personally, Christy, you want to go?
I can go. Otherwise, I'm going to start with John's just because I don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, although he sent the notes to us before I had done my notes. I didn't read his, which I thought there's a great bit of information. So people who were appointed as the team leader, they would have the power. You know, whether it would be assigned or not, they would feel as though they had the power, and they'd be more likely to make the decisions for the team versus the team making decisions together. We would probably put that pressure on the team as well of leader, what's your decision? Members of the team that were not appointed as a leader would employ tactics to gain power. And the meetings would probably be quicker due to the leaders making decisions for the team versus using collaboration to make decisions. I completely agree. If we just had somebody who said, this is what we're doing, you know, the use of Google Docs, those processes would have been a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was the collaboration that kind of was needed, because that was the true working in a team.
And it provides a better product.
I agree. A product that we all produce,
Mm-hmm.
You know, that had a touch of us in it. So one thing, and I kind of go into my own, that if she had assigned a leader, so it's different when you have a leader at an organization who is in like a different position, but it is hard to have a leader who is actually at the exact same level as you, or possibly, from what I've heard, I think I'm like the newest into the program. But it would be it's hard to be led by someone who's the exact same level as you. Additionally, if I came in as the leader, and this is, you know, my third class, and you all had more knowledge of the topic, there's a possibility you would be more the expert and more qualified to be in the leader position. But here's me trying to teach you concepts, teach you ideas that you've learned possibly last semester, years ago, something like that. So I thought it would be potentially harder for us to be led by essentially a peer, or potentially someone who's not as far along in the program. It could have possibly divided the team, that we would wait for our roles to be assigned to us versus us volunteering. We would wait, you know, our dialogues kind of get a little bit more organic. I think that wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be as open with each other, because we all have like a shared goal, where the leader's goal is also to succeed as a leader, where our joint goal is for the team to succeed and for us to succeed as a team member. The leader would be judged or graded on a separate level, or on a different level of qualifiers than the rest of us was.
Is that your thought, or is that how you think they'd be graded? Because I would bet that this instructor would grade a leader on the effectiveness of the team and not how they did. Because if they were good or bad, if the team was successful, I don't care how good you are as a leader, obviously you did an okay job for the successful team, right? But that would be up to the instructor on how they grade it, to your point.
Mm-hmm. I also thought if none of us were the facilitator, if none of us were the host, if none of us had those roles, we kind of would have left with a touch of a disservice. Like, there's a little bit, I explained that I was technologically challenged, and it forced me to become comfortable with, you know, working in the Google Docs, setting up a Zoom meeting, uploading something to the internet, all of these things. It would have done like a disservice to me, and just a little touch of confidence that I've gained, just being able to step into those roles.
I completely agree. I agree with you, Chrissy, and I agree with you, Steve, on the way that the leader would be graded. I think that if set roles were the case for this class, I feel like everyone, like you said, Chrissy, would not get as much as they would from this class. I feel like you need to be able to have the roles switching because it opens your eyes up to more different moving parts that you have to work on with the team. Like sort of say if you were like Christy, if you were the leader the whole time, I would care about the team, but I wouldn't be as like devoted. Be like, oh, Chrissy's got it. Like I'm just coming to the meeting as a participant, see what she wants me to do. But instead, the roles switch every week. So I think that builds strength in the team as well, where it's not we're just listening to one person's right all the time, but we're really getting the wheels spinning and trying to get some really good answers. I also feel like the minor roles might slack a little bit as well, since you have the facilitator or the leader pretty much doing most of the work, or like coordinating everything, telling everyone what they're going to do with deadlines. Like some people, like the jokester, or I don't even know, the challenger perhaps, just might be like, well, I don't really have to do much. I have to come here, challenge a few people, and that's it. The leader will pretty much do it all. So I really enjoy how this class is set up with all the different roles.
So Andrew, I have to ask then, because we have all these different roles, when you kind of like before we have the meeting, do you, like for me, I read the agenda so that I kind of see what's coming. Like in this particular instance, you because Brad was out today and you stepped in to be the facilitator, it's great that you kind of were prepared to step in. So do you kind of look into, and I guess to the team as well, do you walk into meetings with the possibility or knowing all of the information in advance, like reading the agenda, being prepared? Does that format itself, does that force you to do these things?
Yeah, I've been in a few meetings that I've come to unprepared, outside this class, and I just hate looking like an idiot. You sit down, people start asking you like, oh, well, which question are we on? So I always look through it just in case. So I'm not caught off guard, because I've learned from my past failures of looking like an idiot in a meeting, in front of important people, like, oh, shit, I should have prepared a little bit. But I always look at the agenda, and I just feel you get more from it, and you just know what's coming. What about you guys? David, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this major in its own has been very humbling, because I've been in groups beforehand where leaders were assigned, or someone was assigned as a leader, and excuse my language, but I mean, at that point, a lot of people would just half-ass it. And I would be one of them too, because I'd be like, well, this leader's going to be in charge of putting us in place in case we're, slacking up, or if we really don't care. And the way I've been about it in each one since the summer, I feel like they're very constructed, and a lot of people kind of understand that leadership is a team as a whole. And if we had it where it's just one of us was a leader, I would have just expected that person to take all the tasks and responsibilities. And in this case, in this class, we all have different tasks to have, like, at the end of the day, I feel like we're all leaders within those tasks, and we all keep each other as leads. We all have different mindsets, but some person might be like, hey, we should do it at this time. Hey, I want to make a Google Docs. Hey, I'll put in the book. It's more like a collaborative leadership in all, than just having just one set of a leader.
Yeah, Brad had similar comments. Brad said that if that were the case, it would obviously be a diminished learning experience. It'd be one-sided, regardless, whatever role you had, even if it was the team leader role, it'd be a one-sided learning experience. So you want to get the role of a team member, and if you were a team member, you want to get the role of a leader. And he said if that were the case, you would have lost interest extremely quickly, which I think, like David's saying, it's easy to do. If you have one single role, one thing to focus on, it's easy to be like, well, I'm just going to half-ass it. I know my job, and it's going to be an easy one. So I agree. I put in my notes that obviously the team would have potentially lacked due to other team members not appreciating the roles of each other. So if, Andrew, you were the designated team leader the whole time, I might not appreciate how hard that role is if I've never done that role, right? Or the facilitator, I might not appreciate the preparation that goes into that role. And so I might be giving you a disservice, or I might not be giving you the credit you're due, because I'm just a challenger and my job might be easier. But with the rotating of it, we all understand the effort that goes into each role, and then we appreciate the work that everybody puts into every role they put into every week. So then the team is a lot more collaborative and appreciative of every single team member. I thought that was a key. Also, I thought what was cool about, or what we wouldn't have got out of it if they were assigned roles for the whole class, was we wouldn't have been able to identify our strengths and weaknesses in a virtual team, right? So like you said, Chrissy, technologically, maybe not so sound. Same for me. I've never done a Zoom meeting. I've never done a Skype meeting. I don't have a Facebook. I don't have an Instagram. I don't know how to upload a photo. Like I'm like just, totally base zero on my end. But getting those experiences, that was a huge weakness of mine, and it was identified immediately. Whereas now I feel super comfortable uploading the host, and I've done it like 3 or 4 times, I said, because I want to get to the point where it's easy. And even if I don't do it for a year, I'll be able to do it. So we wouldn't have been able to identify strengths and weaknesses. Or, if we're given the position of a facilitator and we recognize the first time we do it, man, I'm not that good at this, or I don't communicate that well, or I'm a little nervous. Well, then we do it a second time and we get better, and we work on those strengths and weaknesses. So I thought another big point was, if they were assigned, we wouldn't have had the ability to identify strengths and weaknesses in ourselves on virtual teams.
Agreed.
I think also, I don't know that we would have been so open to sharing information.
No, 100%.
There might have been a touch of a separation between the leader and the rest of the team.
Definitely would have been. I agree with that 100%.
Does anyone else have anything else on the readings?
Just,
Okay. We'll move along then. Looks like we're on to other thoughts, comments, discussion points. And here's where I was going to bring up the extra credit opportunity. So I took some notes on it. She sent us an email. Looks like we just have to watch 30 minutes of another team, the same team that we watched prior. I think that was team 2, team 4.
Yeah, team 2.
Team 2. Team 2. So we got to decide. Not everyone has to do it. It's completely optional. It has to be on module 6 content. So it looks like we would have to do it after next week because mod 6 is coming up. Write up any feedback on a Word doc and then send it to Dr. Chanley. How did they do? Did they develop more since you last saw their team meeting? What are some good things that they're doing? Some criteria that we would have to grade them on would have to be known. So
Andrew, originally she said that an only thing necessary was a discussion. No feedback was necessary. So now I didn't see that. There's more requirements now. So originally in the extra credit, there was the 2 options. One option was watching a video for 30 minutes on the team you previously reviewed and provided feedback on, but you just need to have a 30-minute discussion on the update. I didn't see that there was an additional written assignment for that. Did you, Chrissy?
No, I just saw that we hold a 30-minute, it said watch the module 6 content meeting of the team we assessed, hold a half-hour team discussion about that meeting, comparing it to the other meeting, and anyone who attends can earn up to 25 extra credit points.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. Sorry, David?
I think what Andrew's trying to say is, and I think this is what Dr. Chanley might want, is us just to kind of have those notes kind of as a...
to talk about the discussion.
Kind of like a paper trail. Just so
Gotcha.
Like we actually did the work and not just like, oh, we're just speaking out.
Watch the video, take our notes on what Andrew's talking about, and discuss it in the video, in the meeting.
Right.
And not actually anything. Gotcha.
Well, I think what would be a great idea is we created all of our feedback.
Right.
Watch their video, look at the feedback, our very long, encompassing, great feedback that we put together. Walk through that and see what has changed.
That's our agenda. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So did you see somewhere, Andrew, that we needed to submit notes on that?
I thought I did, but I was looking at it a few days ago. I took some notes on it, but now I can't see where I got that from.
All right, we'll look at it more.
So I think what you're looking at is in that same email, she mentioned that for module 6, there's no like notes template that you put it into a Word doc. Maybe that's because it's kind of right in that same line of information.
Yeah, you might be right. My bad. But
No,
yeah,
there's a lot of information in some of these. So,
Christy, I think that you're right though. If we watch 30 minutes of their Mod 6 video, we could just look at exactly how we graded them previously.
Yeah.
That way the standard should be pretty much the same. You know, hopefully it goes up, but if not, we could still hold them to the same criteria. I think that's important.
Now, this would be a separate third video for Mod 6. And we can hold it, since it's on their Module 6, we would have to hold it at the very end of the week, obviously, to get access to that video. And she would provide it to us, just like she did before, correct?
yes.
Because we don't have access to their videos now.
Right.
So
She said that she would make it available. But actually what I was just looking at is there's that Google Doc where everyone's meeting is on it. Let me just see. Okay, they don't have anything scheduled for module 6 yet. So we can pay attention to that. If they get theirs knocked out early in the week, if we have another Sunday meeting, we could tag it to the end of our next Sunday meeting.
Yeah, let's just plan on doing that. That makes sense.
Well, fingers crossed they have it submitted.
Right. By then?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What's next, Andrew?
Oh, I'm happy that you asked. All right. Okay, so it looks like questions for Dr. Chanley. I personally don't have any. Everything's pretty much straightforward at this point in the class, but it's always worth going through. Does anyone have anything for Dr. Chanley? Any questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right, cool.
No.
So pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know what we're doing. We know what all the goals at hand. So, you know, we really don't have too many questions.
No.
You know, going forward, we could probably scrap that from the agenda, but I think it's important to talk about it just in case, you know, just in case someone's not clear on something or, you know.
I agree.
So how did this meeting go, guys? Steve, how do you think it went?
Thought it went well. I got across everything I thought needed to be said, and I think it went well.
Well, I'm going to challenge you. What do you think went the best?
I think what went the best was how effective our facilitator was.
Oh.
Yeah, you did great, but seriously, stepped up, took both the roles. I thought that was awesome. The content, as usual, I think we've all discussed, is pretty fluid and dynamic between our group. So that's not really anything that concerns me anymore. Everybody always has valuable input. But I think, you know, one of the biggest things is our ability to work as a team. And that's to that point of what I was saying, you know, obviously kind of being a little funny, but being serious is, you know, someone has a problem or an emergency pops up. And although you're doing the role of the host, which is probably the most intensive when it comes to time, you also had zero, you know, lag time in saying, hey, I'll be the facilitator. It doesn't matter to me. So I just think our ability to help each other out, and that's what the team is. So I thought that was cool. Good job.
Yeah. I think we were just able to help out our team members. I think that was really cool. And I'm glad that our team members, even though they had adversity at hand, they were able to put in their, if we were empathetic on them.
Yeah.
Huge. And Andrew, thanks for, you know, stepping up.
Yeah, no problem, guys. It's unfortunate with Brad's kids. You know, I hope that they're all right, obviously. But you know, just like in real life, you know, some people are going to miss meetings, and some people are going to be in other meetings. So, you know, people are just going to have to step up when needed and do it. I'm sure any of you guys could have done it just as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
It looks like she's asking us a little bit about how did the meeting go based on team effectiveness. I'll answer a little bit. I think that we're very effective when we go around and talk about our readings or talk about our personal stuff that we can bring to the table. I feel like it's not just us just reading it and going over like, okay, Steve, you go, then Chrissy, you go, Dave, you go. Okay, we did it. Next. We really have like an engaging conversation for each piece that it seems like everyone really gets involved in. And I feel like this is a great way for us all to learn. You know, we can learn, Steve, I could learn from your previous stuff. Dave, you can learn from mine. Chrissy, you know, we can all work together, and people that have had personal experiences, we can physically learn from either your benefit or mistake, but also we're learning from the reading as well. So I think that being effective, I think we're nailing it right on the head. So.
Well,
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, sorry. I was just.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
I was just going to say that, like, the additional information that everyone shares, like in certain areas, like part of the one reading that was about the integrative thinking, it was hard for me to get through because there was so much about software and all through the beginning that I was like, I don't really understand the concept itself that we're talking about. So I really had to kind of search and hunt through the information, but even through our discussion and Steve, the information you shared, it made me understand it even more. So I think what's good is if I can actually walk away feeling like, in addition to everything that I learned through the reading, through the course materials, that I'm actually taking something from our discussions, that it can help me understand the concept a little bit better, find another way that it relates. And so that was one of those, is that if I take information from it and learn something new, I think that the concept itself of the meeting was successful in my mind.
Yeah, I would say the difference between effectiveness and efficiency, you know, if we were to say efficiency, we might be able to say, oh, well, we might be able to get through this faster, right? Might have taken an hour instead of an hour and a half. And that would be an efficiency statement. But when we're talking about effectiveness, I think it's, you know, that time is out the window. It's, did we get across the materials that needed to get across? And like you said, Chrissy, did we actually comprehend it? Do we understand it leaving this meeting? And I think if that's our standard and we do leave here thinking, oh, it made sense to me, I get it, I'm not going to forget it, then that was effective. And I always feel like these meetings are effective.
Great feedback.
Right on. Okay, so we'll keep moving on here if no one else has anything. Do you guys think we should add any changes for next meeting?
The only thing that I just wanted to, that I saw a comment from her in Module 6, that it said that we really have to follow the order itself for Module 6. So I just wanted to kind of make that statement so everyone kind of grabbed that.
Probably so she can submit this mod 6 content meeting for if someone else wants to review ours. So we just have to host that first, which you know, if you guys are good on Tuesday, I'm still good on that. I know we haven't talked about it, but
Tuesday works fine for me.
Tuesday 5 per standard.
Fine with me.
Good.
It's okay with you.
Works for me. Maybe we'll I can start a group text to all of us, just confirming Tuesday at 5.
Yeah, that'd be beneficial.
Tentatively, we'll say Tuesday at 5, obviously Pacific Standard Time, and then
I'm sorry, it's my time, so I don't even think to add. You know,
it's my time as well.
I thought it was our time.
That's cool with me. That's my time.
Yeah.
So you
while we also have everyone, do we want to also schedule for Sunday the 6th at 8 a.m. again?
I think that's been working out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wait, Sunday at 6?
Sunday the 6th.
Oh, I was like, man, that's okay.
Can I do 6 a.m.? No, please. So it's October 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific. So I'll send a group text.
Perfect.
Just so we can get confirmation of that.
Yeah.
And then I'll be happy to, because it's been a bit since I did the Zoom meeting, and I actually had to do a go-to meeting in my office, and I've only done it once, and I had a meeting, and I couldn't remember any of the steps. So I'd like to be the host and set up the Zoom meeting on Tuesday, if possible.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anything you want to do, David, for Tuesday's meeting?
Can I be facilitator?
Okay. David will be the facilitator. Let's have Brad just be a participant, just in case his status hasn't changed. And then I can be the jokester, and Andrew, if you want to be the challenger.
That's fine.
And then we don't have a submitter that day, so we'll just have John and Brad be, participants.
In costume. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
That was if they didn't give advance notice. Fortunately.
That's right.
Okay, great. So it looks like we have our meeting set up. So at the tail end of the 6th meeting on Sunday, that's probably when we're going to review their extra credit. If you guys want to do that, we might as well. It's free points. I mean, it's
25 points, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just plan on doing that then.
Yeah. 2 separate videos.
Yeah.
Second one being 30 minutes, right?
So I did want to ask when I know we've had some instances where somebody has facilitated both meetings. Are you able to upload the meeting while you're recording the next meeting?
Yeah, John did that the one time where we did the 30 minutes, and he was able to do so. He said it wasn't difficult.
Okay, because I didn't want it to be if the same person did it, then they're sitting in front of their computer for like over an hour.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right, right on.
Oh, and we didn't set up, obviously, the rules for Sunday, but we can set them up on Tuesday.
I think that's great.
Yeah. So okay, I'm looking at for the last part of number 13. It looks like we just need to review the instructions. We've already set up the roles. So the instructions, like Chrissy was talking about, it looks like from mod 6, it looks like we have to do everything in order. Obviously read, watch the videos is number 1. Take the notes. 2, hold our content discussion meeting. 3, complete your individual assignments on your self-assignment, assessment, and team assessment. Mm-hmm. And then they are due before you host your assignment discussion meeting. So we'll just have to be careful for that. We need to turn that in prior so we all get points.
Prior to Sunday.
Prior to Sunday.
And then conduct the assignment discussion meeting to share yourself and teammate assessments. Obviously be sure you record them. And then 5.
That's going to be a fun one. Got some great comments for you guys.
And then be sure to submit the team recording. And then that's it. So it looks like there's a lot to do looking at the learning modules and stuff that we have to look over, but should be, not too bad. We've been handling it. So
not bad at all.
I didn't look at the agenda for the next week's, for the first, the content meeting in module 6, but I looked ahead and we need to determine who we're going to assess. The 2 teammates that we're going to assess, just so that everyone is assessed properly.
Yep.
So if that's not on there, I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that on Tuesday.
Now, I read that as you get a pick.
You get to pick,
right.
But she just wants to make sure that everyone, so that everyone doesn't assess me, and just so that everyone gets some form of feedback.
Yeah, so why don't we – so what you're suggesting, Chrissy, is that at the end of maybe next meeting, we share who we're going to assess so everybody gets a fair share?
Yes.
Okay, good idea.
It might be on the agenda, but I just wanted to make sure it was something that wasn't missed. And I'm very much the person that I'm more likely to retain the information if I say it out loud.
Yeah, no, great idea.
Should we just put names in our head and just?
That's not a bad idea either. Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I always have paper and stuff in front of me and note cards, so I definitely could do drawings. I could be ready for an impromptu drawing if that's how we chose to do it.
Yeah, I think when the other guys are here on Tuesday, maybe that's the way we do it. That's a good idea.
Yeah. We got time, though. We can definitely figure that out at the tail end of Tuesday's meeting, definitely.
Sure.
Correct.
Cool. I don't think that I have anything else. Does anyone else have any food for thought?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. That one's for you, John.
Hey, they are my favorite team.
They are?
All right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Really.
He said,
They always have been.
So
Good.
the first time I was the jokester, I had all of these like Bears jokes ready to go.
Man. Yeah, but since your team lost, you couldn't script those.
Well, I wasn't gonna resurrect him this week, but I was gonna do it the first week, and then I thought, I don't really want to offend somebody because somebody swing below the belt to touch when you start looking for them. But if those insert any team here, and I guess they were.
Oh yeah.
Well, after this week, we'll both be tied for first, so maybe then you could try and use them. So. All right, guys. I have nothing else. It was a good meeting. I'm going to end the recording so we can get on with our day, and I'll see you guys Tuesday.
All right. Later, guys.
Good.
All right. See you guys
all
later.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.